What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to 100% Mags. Of course, Newcastle United took on Tottenham at St James Park tonight. And of course, as you can see to my right, the score line was Tottenham 3, Newcastle 2. But the scoreline doesn't really show the way that game played out. And to be honest, the scoreline doesn't really affect the atmosphere at St James's Park or even put a dampener on the occasion neither, because it was absolutely amazing. I would have loved to have been inside the stadium for this game, but unfortunately I wasn't. I was at home with my family watching this game on TV, and you could still feel the atmosphere just oozing through my TV set. It was absolutely electric, and I mean absolutely electric. It felt like the good old days of Newcastle back when Kevin Keegan had the entertainers, or Bobby's Nights. It was the good old days back at St James's Park, and the players did their part as well. War flags returned, and it was an absolutely fantastic display from them as well. Credit to everybody who worked on that display to put that on at St James's Park. Absolutely fantastic work by everybody involved for that. And of course, we had His Excellency Yasser Al-Rahmani fly in from New York City with delegates from Saudi Arabia to see the match as well. Amanda Stavely was there with her husband Gadassi. Jamie Rubin was there with people as well. Anton Deck was there. There was so many legends of yesteryear there as well to soak in this absolutely amazing occasion, and the return of this absolutely historic club. Yes, we might have lost 3-2, but there's a lot of positives to look at. At the end of the day, they might have tried to, dampen the mood for us, but it hasn't dampened anything. You can take the win, and go back to London, but you can't take away Newcastle United's riches. You can't take away Newcastle United's pride. You can't take away the love that we have for our club. And you can't take away the one important fact that Newcastle United is back. It was absolutely amazing. Callum Wilson scoring the opening goal on 2 minutes into the game after returning back from injury with a header into the back of the net in front of the Gallagher end. Of course, that sent the stadium into raptures. 17th minute, of course, Ndombele scored a goal for Tottenham to get them back into it. On the 22nd minute, Harry Kane scored a goal which, in my opinion, looked like it was offside. And then by the 45th plus 4 minutes, of course, Heung-min Son. But before that, a Newcastle United fan had took unwell in the crowd, which turned out, of course, that the Newcastle United fan had suffered some chest problems. They had to do CPR on him, of course, and thankfully, that Newcastle United fan did pull around. He did waken up, and he was took out on a stretcher over across the pitch and into an ambulance to either, the General or the RVI, which is pretty close to St James's Park. And hopefully, I do want to say, hopefully that Newcastle United fan does pull through and come out the other end, in a much better state. But shame, for to dampen that poor guy's night. It's such an amazing occasion, that we've all been waiting for so long. But of course, everybody jumped into action, just like we're seeing with Christian Eriksen's, in the Euros, and of course Reguilon. Seeing the Newcastle fans in the East Stand shouting for some help. Of course, we went to the referee, and the referee stopped the match, and give a round of applause to everybody involved, in helping that Newcastle United fan, get the help and support that he needed at that very tough time as well. And that is the great things that we get to see, that just shows that there's still a little bit of humanity left in the world. But then that humanity was gone, by the 45th plus 4 minutes, because Newcastle United went down the tunnel, Tottenham went down the tunnel. They took a little bit of a break. They come back out to play the 7 minutes injury time. And of course, here comes Heung-min Son, who scores a goal against Newcastle and decides, why not? Let's celebrate. In my eyes, it would have been a little bit more knowledge, if he had have just not celebrated the goal, especially after something like that had happened. Yes, I know it's football. At the end of the day, things have got to go on. That's life. But the decent thing would have been not to celebrate, and especially in front of the Newcastle fans as well. I thought that was very distasteful from Heung-min Son. But at the end of the day, they scored the goal and made them 3-2 up, and of course went in for half time. And we tried our best in the game to get shots. And on the 89th minute, Eric Dier scored an own goal. And I've got to say, it did lighten the mood around St James's Park. It did, of course, allow, for a lot of Newcastle fans to have a good chuckle at Eric Dier scoring an own goal. But, there was quite a few in the stadium that did get the atmosphere going again after, of course, that moment had happened. And it's just one of them things in life. These things happen. We don't like to see them happen, but it was great to see that everybody jumped to the gun and straight in there and did their job, what they were there to do. They did the right thing. And if we look at the Premier League table up on screen now, we've played 8 games, so that means we've got 30 games left. And of course, that means we're now sitting in at 19th place, 3 points adrift of 17th place Leeds United. We've got Crystal Palace up next, who are in 14th place on 7 points. So if we can win against Crystal Palace, of course, that'll close the gap on Leeds United and allow, hopefully, forward to get outside that relegation zone, or depending on what happens with Leeds United's games and other games around it as well. But if we don't win against Crystal Palace, which obviously you've got to see both sides of the coin here, but if we don't get that win against Crystal Palace, then of course that means that we'll be 6 points adrift of 17th place. And of course that means, that it's going to get a little bit harder as we're going closer and closer towards that December period of fixtures where, like I've said in many videos, it's a very tough fixture schedule. So I'm sure, the new owners will want Steve Bruce out as fast as possible. He's been given, a very generous game tonight to allow him to have that 1,000th game as a manager. And in 20 years, he's had 1,000 games as a manager and he hasn't won one single thing. And that, to me, speaks absolute volumes of the kind of manager he is. In 20 years, you would have expected him to have won something, but he hasn't. And that is just massive problem as a manager, and that just shows you what kind of manager he is as well, in my eyes. But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe to 100% Mags, as I'm on the road to 700 subscribers, and hopefully we can get our first win of the season in the game against Crystal Palace. Till next time, I'll see you all later, and how well.